Guys, take a look at this beautiful, beautiful dish. These are spring rolls. I tell you what, this is a show that's going to teach you how to make this wonderful little Asian delight. And I tell you what, it's delicious like you can't believe. Howdy everyone! Welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, we're going to be making some spring rolls. Now guys, you have to understand, though I mostly do Tex-Mex, Mexican, Texas food, American food, I also do a lot of other cuisines. I've studied many things: French food, Italian, Japanese, Chinese food. I have a lot of study behind me for the many decades that I've been cooking on how to make a lot of different things. And what we're making today, spring rolls. Now don't get that confused. Some people call spring rolls egg rolls or egg rolls spring rolls. I'll explain the difference right now. An egg roll, the reason it's called egg roll is it's rolled in an egg noodle. Okay, so you take this egg noodle, basically it's pasta, very thin. You put a stir-fried mixture in there, roll it up, deep fry it. When the outside gets golden and blistered, it's finished. All you're doing is cooking the pasta there. You have an egg roll. Those are delicious, but that's not this. This is spring roll. These are absolutely poppin' delicious, guys, and they're so healthy and nutritious. We're not going to be doing any stir frying. All we have to do is cook up the shrimp, let it cool. After it cools, we'll take our sliced vegetables and line them out in this beautiful, beautiful rice paper we have. And that's this stuff, rice paper. It's very thin, it's extremely delicate, and if you know what to do with it, you can have all kinds of fun. So guys, I tell you what, come over this way. Let's take a look at these fantastic ingredients, very good ingredients we have today, and let's get busy making some spring rolls. Come on over. Well guys, let's take a look at this beautiful stuff I have here. First off, let's take a look here. I have these shrimp, these nice large prawns, and you don't have to do this with large ones. You can do it with smaller prawns also, and these are going to shrink a little bit during cooking, but what I have here is a shell-on prawn that's been deveined, and it's raw, and I'm going to cook this up. And when I go cooking up prawns like this, guys, I want my prawns to have a good flavor to them. So I'm going to do these similar to the way a Cajun boil would be done, like for crawfish or something like that. So we're going to be putting in some garlic and tarragon and red pepper and a bit of salt to flavor the water that we're going to cook the shrimp in. And the reason I'm doing that, the reason I want to get those flavors in there, I don't want the shrimp just to be bland. I want it to have a little bit of unique flavor to it. So I'm going to give it my own special kick. And those are some very, very good flavors to go with shrimp. So the boil is going to be simple. Now, something I have to say, when you're cooking up shrimp, guys, when you're cooking that stuff back there, it's important. Do not overcook shrimp. If you put this down in boiling water and come back 10 minutes later, you're going to have these little red hockey pucks. And they're not going to have very good texture for anyone. It's not going to be nice. Other goodies that I have here that we're going to put in this, I have some cilantro, and I have this sitting down in a glass of water. Try that little trick. It'll keep that cilantro nice and fresh until you use it. Also, I have some green cabbage, some red cabbage. We're going to be using some of each of those, some carrots as well. Now guys, you can put anything inside of a spring roll. Just make sure it's sliced really thin, and that also that it's, natural and fresh and not cooked. You want good raw ingredients there. Things like jicama root, which is delicious. It has a slightly sweet, somewhat apple-like flavor to it. Jicama is a good choice to go with these items. Other things you can put in there, you can put mango or papaya in a spring roll, okay? Actually, guys, if you want to get right down to it, you can put anything in there you want. Bok choy works in this. Okay, little green onions. But whatever you're using, do a real fine, thin cut. Okay, because what we want to do is to have nice lined up, even little rows of vegetables inside of a round casing. So when you're looking at it from the outside, you should see these stripes of color, and you should also see the prawns on one side quite visible. So that's what we're going to go for. Now guys, what we have here is just a beautiful, delicious dish that is so easy to make. Don't shy away. Give these a try, and once you've had them, you'll love them. Now what are you going to dip these in? Well, that's up to you. But they make different sauces. Like there's a peanut sauce that's commonly done with spring rolls, and there is also other sauces. I'm going to use hoisin with mine. So that's how we're going to do it. Now, if you would, just break out your goodies. Let's get a pan on the stove with a little water in it, flavor it up, and we're going to make this taste good. And guys, as you see here, we have a pot on the stove. I don't have any water or heat under it just yet. First, I need to prepare this garlic. If you still have that husk on it, just pinch it between your thumb and forefinger on both hands and twist it slightly. You hear that crackling? That's the sound of that paper breaking free of the inner clove. And as you see there, that little clove of garlic is still whole. It's not broken, and it's not leaking any juices anywhere. So it's easy to handle, and it's really nice that way. So if you would, just go ahead and do all of your garlic that way. You're going to need about 3 cloves. This one I already did. We have our 3 cloves of garlic ready to go. To prep these 3 cloves of garlic, we are going to do nothing more than just first removing that paper, and then second, giving that a good push. Be careful as you do that. You don't want to put your skin against that edge. Let me show you how I did that again. I took my knife and put it down, but see how I angled the edge down? There. And see how it crushes that? The reason I crush it is so it will release its oils, and it will flavor the water that we're about to put in there. There we go. See there? That's all I had to do. Of the tarragon and the red pepper, guys, we're going to be using approximately 1 tablespoon of each. So there we go. Oops, that's slightly too much. 1 tablespoon. And of my red pepper, same thinking. 1 tablespoon there. Bam, right down in the pot. There I have a beautiful combination of flavors that's going to do wonderful with that shrimp. All I have to do now is get some hot water in this, bring it up to a boil, throw my shrimp in, and get it cooked. So you'll know, guys, the length of time it takes to cook shrimp this way is only a matter of just a couple of short minutes. So we're not going to waste any time with this. We're going to get it in there, get it cooked, pull it out, and get it chilled. There we go. I'm going to start with hot water so it doesn't take as long to bring it to a boil. Right there is about 2 cups. I want to go ahead and put in a 1/3 cup of water. So that's 3 cups of water. Now guys, so you will know, we're going to be using approximately 6 to 8 ounces of shrimp. So it's a small amount. If you want to cook more shrimp, if you're going to do a lot of these, that's fine. But this is going to make quite a few of these spring rolls. That's quite a lot. As I mentioned before, smaller shrimp do really well with this. And I really recommend, if you want to do this, don't spend a lot of money on shrimp. I'm using the larger ones simply because I have them on hand. If not, I would have purchased smaller ones, not quite this tiny salad type, but some smaller ones, and they do really well in this dish. You can use the little brine type shrimp, you know, little cocktail, or I should say salad shrimp. Now guys, some other things you're going to have to get set up as that's coming to a boil. Of course, you're going to have your shrimp. Make sure they're thawed. If they're not, put them under a little running water in a colander, just like this. So if you purchase frozen shrimp, go ahead and do that. If you've purchased some regular live shrimp or anything like that, or just fresh shrimp, go ahead and dehead it if it has a head. If you want to shell it, you can. You don't have to. You can cook it in the shell. That's what I'm going to do here. These have been deveined, all right, because I purchased them deveined that way. But they still have the shell and feet on, so we're going to take that off in a little bit. This is ready, and it's over here away from our dashing bowl. If you're wondering, what is a dashing bowl? Well, a dashing bowl is a bowl of cold water that you're going to take and dash your shrimp down into after they're cooked. Shrimp only take a couple of minutes to cook, and if you leave them in that hot water, then they're going to overcook and get tough. They curl up into a little tiny ball, and that's when you know they're overcooked. So it only takes moments to cook shrimp, and if you allow them to stay hot, if your timing isn't perfect on them, they're just going to overcook on you. So what I have here is a dashing bowl, and I'm going to put some ice in this in a little bit after my boil mix comes up, boils for a little bit. I'm going to want it to cook for a few minutes, you know, to develop the flavors in the water. I can see the color changing in the water. I smell a strong perfume of tarragon and chilies and garlic. I smell all three. But I want the flavor to be robustly present in the water, so when the shrimp are cooked, they're actually flavored by what they're cooked in. So this is going to be a really cool way of doing this, a very flavorful way of doing this, and a neat way for you to learn how to handle shrimp. So we're going to wait, give this time to boil for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we cook our shrimp. And guys, my water's been boiling and developing flavor. I have some ice here. I'm going to take this ice and just drop it right down. This is going to bring down the temperature of that water just fine and help me chill my my shrimp quickly. I'm going to add a little more. We're ready to go on this. So I'm going to need a couple of things. I'm going to need like a slotted spoon to work with. Okay, guys, when you're working in the kitchen, if you need to lift certain things, you have to learn to like use your head, okay? So this is how we work smart. You don't want to burn yourself. You don't want to hunt down whatever to get this off. You can just do it that way. And a lot of our products in commercial kitchens are designed to cross between items. So something like this will fit right onto a bowl like that right there. It fits naturally on it. Now, shrimp. Our water has come up in flavor. I want to show you this water before I put my shrimp in here. See this? Ooh, look at that color. Isn't that nice? This only takes a couple of minutes to cook these guys, so watch them closely. They're going to change colors quickly. Now come over here and let's get a better look, okay? Now you can see these little guys. Look at them. Changing colors. And they don't take long, okay? As I mentioned before, this cooks quickly. So we don't need to cover these and give them a long, vigorous boil. If you do that, as I mentioned before, you're going to come back to these little hockey pucks of very hard, chewy meat. What I'm doing is I'm testing the texture of that shrimp, because that texture tells me when it's done. When it gets just to the right firmness, we're pulling it out. And guys, you have to learn that that's one of those skills that's done over time. You're not going to catch it, boom, just like that. It's going to be one of those things that each time you cook shrimp, you need to feel it like this so you can get a clue as to just how cooked it really is. Now, this is coming to perfection right now. Boom, boom. Yeah, they're getting good and firm. So now I drop my heat, I pull this shrimp out, and I drop it down into my ice bath. Isn't that simple? There we go. Now, ice bath stops the cooking and it chills the shrimp also, because we're going to want this shrimp cold to use it. If you're going to be cooking more than one batch of shrimp, go ahead and save that water. You've got a wonderful, wonderful boil flavor going on there. Down here, I'm just going to simply, gently stir that shrimp. Look at that. It's tender, it's fully cooked, and now all I have to do is take that shell off, and I do that simply by pinching the bottom, see it's already been deveined, and pull those feet off at the same time. Just like that. That leaves you just that tail and Not always, but generally if you grab the very tip of the tail, not up here, but back here, and pull, a lot of times you can get the whole tail meat. We'll try. It's too tight. So I didn't get my full tail meat, but I got the majority of what's under here. There's a couple of little tiny talons that go down in there, and sometimes you get lucky and you get those. I will simply go ahead and remove all of the legs and shells the exact same way, and that way I can take my shrimp and get on with cooking up my wonderful spring rolls. Isn't that simple? There we go. That's what I'm talking about right there, guys. See how I got part of his actual tail meat? That's what you call doing good work right there. So if you would go ahead and just finish up your shrimp, keep it nice and cold, and then once you get them all deveined, transfer them to another bowl and put them in the refrigerator and make sure they're covered. And that way we can keep them good and cold until it's time for us to slice them and get them down into our spring rolls. Yummy. Folks, there's one more tip I wanted to give you about shrimp. If you don't have the shrimp that's deveined on the back, you can't pinch the feet and pull the shell off this way. What you have to do is to first break the feet off, and then from the back you pinch the shell back here. Poo. And once you do that, it'll slide off the back side of the shrimp's body. Once you've done that, since yours won't be deveined, you'll need to grab the top back right here very gently and pull, and that whole black vein will just slide right out of your shrimp, okay? So if you have the kind that wasn't pre-deveined like this, that's how you handle that. I'm glad I just remembered to mention that, because this stuff is sold in so many different ways. Now, one of the ways that you can tell whether or not your shrimp was cooked appropriately, it's going to be firm and opaque in the center. See how that's opaque? It's firm, but you see how it's still open and it didn't curl into a tight ball like that? The fact that it's still open means you didn't overcook it and it's still tender. Now, that's how you do it, guys, right there. We'll take some of this ice, put it right there on top of my shrimp. That way I get full use of my ice. And now I'm going to take my little bowl of shrimp, these little guys, and I'm going to put them in the fridge with a little plastic wrap over them. If y'all would do the same, and then we're going to get on with preparing our vegetables. There we go. Wrapped up in plastic, on ice, and ready for the fridge. Wasn't that easy, guys? It only took a few minutes, and you have perfect, fresh cooked shrimp to make this happen, and it's seasoned up to taste. Yummy. Okay, guys, let's get on with working on these carrots. First thing I want to do is to go ahead and get this outside off of the carrot. It's kind of waxy and dry. I don't really prefer it, and if you want to save this after you peel it to boil into a stock, that is a real smart thing to do. I recommend that, okay? So, my peeler, I'm going to go ahead and take off these ends here, and this doesn't need much removed, but it won't be easy to peel that. Now, when you're peeling, if you're using one of these, it's the easiest thing in the world, just like you're whittling, okay? Now, you can hold it up higher instead of setting on a board like this, but I find it easier to control. That was just too easy. As I mentioned before, all of this makes good soup stock. Don't throw it away. Just save it in a bag if you're not going to cook with it right now, and then when you get several batches of this type of stuff, like over a couple of days, throw it down in some water and make you a nice little stock with it. From there, you can make that stock into all kinds of wonderful soups. To cut this, what we're going to do is we're going to want to turn this carrot into a whole bunch of very thin, little, tiny strips. And I want them to be about the length of your typical spring roll, which is about 3 inches long. So just slightly under half of this total carrot's length. So what I want to do is I want to take the fat end down here. We're going to start with that first. And the first thing I want to do is to fix my carrot so it's not going all over hell and back, okay? And the way to do that is to provide it with a couple of flat sides to work against, okay? So I'm going to take my knife and just go straight down on one side. And there we go. Isn't that nice? To do that,
the right way from this side at a right angle to about 90 degrees, starting at about the halfway point. I want to make it another flat side at a right angle to that first one. There we go. Save these, you can use them too. Now, the reason I made those flat sides was so I don't have to worry about this rolling around on me so much while I'm trying to make some delicate cuts. So what I want to do is to take this little paring knife, and I'm going to start right on the edge. I'm going to make a very thin cut straight down through this. Boom, just like that. And that's up as far as I can go without it actually cutting through and falling off. I want it to stay intact and all in one piece. This one, the same way. And if you wish to use your chef's knife for this, that's fine. But frankly, I find a little paring knife like this is nice. Line it up. I'm looking straight down on it, okay? And if you'll notice how my fingers are here, I have them turned under and gripping hard on this carrot. You can dash the point end in first and then rotate it down like this. Makes a nice way to cut like that. You still get that good thin cut. You see there? So you can kind of cut them up a little bit and you end up with this kind of thing going on. Now you have that other flat side, guys, so if you want, you can turn it on the other flat side and do this right here. And you get these beautiful little tiny thin strips that we're looking for, like that. But I'm going to do that a little bit different than this method, which I just showed you. We're going to get that peeler back out, okay? Now, very simply, isn't that nice? And it gives you these beautiful straight little pieces that you can line out in your spring roll. Or, as I mentioned before, you can just go ahead and slice them out with your knife. You can do it that way. Well, how do you like that for Cutology 101, huh? So, neat way to Julienne a carrot. Now, there's other ways to Julienne a carrot, guys, okay? So let me show you what I'm talking about here. If I was going to Julienne a carrot, I would do this and make my flat side first, okay? So now that I have my flat side and I got it under control, now look how perfect a good old-fashioned chef's knife makes that. And if you're afraid to cut a stack like that, well, gosh, guys, spread them out, okay? Don't be afraid to be creative with it. So isn't that simple? Good way to make perfect. Some easy methods, some unique cutting methods. Having a little bit of fun with your cutting, guys. Go ahead and do that from time to time. It doesn't hurt a thing. And I have a little character that I could stand up and use in different ways, okay? And remember these extras, you save them and cook them into other dishes. Isn't that nice and simple? So we have our carrot ready to go into our dish. Well, one of the things I really enjoy about doing a show like this, guys, is discussing certain really neat ways of cutting stuff. Now, whenever you're dealing with something that is globe-shaped, you know, like cabbage, like an onion, things that grow in layers, you want to be able to cut those straight and flat. There's only a certain way of doing it. Okay, now on a round object like this, you have your core end, and then of course you have the sides all the way around, and then the top up here. And you got to reduce this to a three-dimensional cubed figure in order to make good straight cuts on it. What I'm going to do is I'll cut the top off. And if I was going to process all of this for this purpose, I would then stand it on its root, right down here, the stem end, after I cut the top off, and then make cuts this way, this, and this. And I would finish up with just a single rectangle about so long that's mostly that hard material right there. So that's the best way to process one of these guys. Look at it that way. Now I've got that stem back here. Remember, fingers turned under. In this case, I'm putting firm pressure on this guy to hold it steady. This hand, pinch that blade in front of the handle so you get good control on this, okay? And remember, when you're cutting cabbage, the stuff is really dense, it's hard, so you're going to have to be serious in your cut. There we go. Make sure you have a good sharp knife. Makes that cut a whole lot safer. We have a beautiful cabbage there. We're going to cut this guy up for what we need. Now, remember, it's growing in layers. The side down here, if I cut down, these side pieces are going to be real wide, and I don't want that. So what I want to do is I want to cut into these. Now, if I take my knife and cut this way, and I'm right-handed, I'm doing what's called the suicide cut. Okay? If I'm left-handed and I take my knife and cut this way, again, it's the same thing because the knife can come back and you slice towards yourself, and that's not cool. Okay? I do that a lot on onions, but generally when I do it, my knife is headed that direction away from these. So you have to remember, if you're going to come towards center of your body, like I'm right-handed, so this is towards center, then you have to have that knife turned away. In other words, cock your wrist backwards, okay? Or cut it this way, and that way you're cutting away from yourself, okay? So what I want to do is I want to cut these lower sides sideways just a little bit, okay? And what I'm doing there is I'm thinning up the slices down over here when I do this right here. Keeping these fingers turned under here, guys. You see that lower knuckle is turned under. My thumb is behind, okay? And I'm very gently dragging my fingers backwards, okay, like this, so that my blade only catches a certain amount. All right, there we go. Now I have this beautiful red cabbage that will line out lovely in these little rolls. I don't have to have a lot. Remember, we're not making a huge amount here. We're only going to be making a certain number. But this will make several of these spring rolls. Now, without overly disturbing my ingredients, I just want to pick them up and get them right down into my bowl. And this is ready to make spring rolls with. On that green cabbage, do exactly the same thing. Now guys, when you're faced with something like this, and it's not that perfect, smooth, round shape like we had on the other one, but it's a little more curled and dented, approach it the exact same way, okay? That's one of my purple cabbage right there. Anyway, I want to cut it this way, and then if I was going to cut the whole thing again in a cube shape, when I was done, I would only have a rectangle that's mostly core, all right? So in this case, I'm going to take off the top. Now, you don't have to take off the top. You can do a side if you want. That's cool. I just like going at it this way. And again, that cut, we're going to do it away from us this time because we don't want it to be what they call that suicide cut. Okay. See there? See how the knife slipped through quickly? That's what you're trying to avoid in doing this cut because you don't want it to come towards you. You want it to go away from you. All right, guys? And especially when you're dealing with something dense like cabbage, all right? Cabbage sort of has its own mind, and it's really hard-headed. Wow, I think it's, yep, it is. It's like our president. Our president is like cabbage. That's cool. We can call him Cabbage Head. Wasn't so difficult, was it, guys? I've got more cabbage here that I'm going to be able to use way more. But that's okay. What I don't use in this, again, it makes something else. It'll be in a stock or whatever else. So, cabbage is ready to go. Now, guys, here we have our cilantro. And all I'm going to have to do here is just take my cilantro leaves and very gently pluck them. You don't want that stem like that right there. I want to take it out. Kind of nasty to get cilantro stem in something like a spring roll. But the leaves and that delicate, deep, bitter flavor that they have, that's wonderful. So go ahead and remember, you're not going to use a whole lot of this, so you're not going to have to, like as much as I have right here, you're not going to have to use that whole thing. As you see, you don't have to be too delicate with it. Just pluck those leaves off. Now, looky there. I have quite a few. This will make a lot of spring rolls, what I've already plucked. So, there's our cilantro, it's ready to go. Okay guys, we have everything prepped and ready to go. Back here are vegetables. Right over here I have the shrimp. I have a plate right here, and this works best if you do have a plate to work on. You need a surface that will hold water, and so it doesn't really go everywhere and is easy and clean to work on. The shrimp I'm going to place right over here, and I'm going to split them in half. Basically, I'm going to just divide the shrimp right down the middle and use one shrimp for every single spring roll that I make. So basically, when you have shrimp that large, you can really get away with doing it this way. Now this bowl of water, very, very important. I have to get the rice paper soft. Now, my rice paper, but it's not going to bend or fold easy. It'll break, it'll just snap. This doesn't have to be soaked for a long time, guys. The minute it gets wet, there's enough water on it to finish soaking through it, and then your rice paper is ready to go. On this one, I see a little pinhole here, so I'm going to put it toward me, and that way it gets rolled up to the inside of this. Once down in the water, 1, 2, 3, and remove. Put it on that plate. Now that plate is part of this hydrating process. It holds the water and keeps it in place so that this can finish softening. While it's softening, that's when we have plenty of time to do what we need to do here. We'll take one of these shrimps, and as I mentioned before, we're going to butterfly it. So I'm going to take my knife and very gently, just right down the center. Isn't that nice? Now this works best if your knives are extremely sharp, okay guys? What I want to do with this, I want him to lay out a little more flat, so I'm going to give him some inside cuts. So he'll want to spread out like this, and this, and then lay him out right across my rice paper. Isn't that beautiful? Next I want to take my leaves. Pardon my reach here. I'm going to set these leaves up on here. And the thing about this is, this needs to be done in a really neat and organized fashion. If it's not neat and organized, then when you look at it, it's going to look wrong, okay? When you're looking at it from the outside of the roll or after it's cut, you're going to say, that didn't really come out right. So make sure you keep everything very organized, overly so. And here's what I'm talking about. I'm going to take some of this cabbage. It doesn't take a lot, a very small pinch. All right, some of my carrot. Again, let's keep that together. Keep it organized in a bunch. Right there. That red cabbage. Same rules for it. Keeping it together. Now here, as you see, there's not just a whole lot going on, but that is, believe it or not, our spring roll. Now I'll take this paper, fold it over. It's sticky at this point, okay, but it's very pliable and soft. Come on, catch that edge, pull it up. Now if my plate had a little more water, it would be coming free from it a little easier. And that'll happen as I do more of these, okay? There. Now, kind of pressing down and folding in. And there he is, folks. One beautiful, very simple spring roll. Now I want to transfer to another surface where it'll set until I can get it cut, okay? Okay guys, let's do that again. There's our water. Right down in there. 1, 2, 3. We take him out. Right down on this plate again. So I bet y'all thought that maybe it was just a little harder than that. Or maybe you thought that was all it took. You were just hoping that somebody would show you that you were right. There it is. Basic Spring Rolls 101. And like I said, don't limit yourself on ingredients, folks. You can put any manner of all kind of goodies in this. If you want avocado in there, well, for goodness sake, put avocado in there. Now he's just still a little bit moist and not sticky enough yet, but it will get that way. I'll leave the seam face up and it'll firm up. So I want to sit here and just finish making these, and I'll have a whole nice beautiful grouping of them here and nothing flat. If y'all would, continue in what you're doing. You've seen how I do it. Just line them up, get them rolled up, and you're done. Remember to keep them firm. Don't stretch too hard or you'll easily break that delicate rice paper. Well guys, we have rolled up 6 of these now. Isn't that beautiful? Colorful, delightful, exciting looking. So I'll tell you what, let's take one of these. Come to Papa. I'm going to run my blade through it at a sharp angle. Look at that. It allows you to see what all's going on there. And now these are ready to be plated. Oh man, look at this, guys. You know, when you order these at the restaurant, I bet you don't expect them to be, let me get this tilted just right for you. I bet you don't expect them to be quite that simplistic. It's just a matter of knowing really what you're shooting for on something like this. Now, I can't wait. Ooh, yes. First off, just plain Jane, no sauce. Look at that beautiful interior. It's delicious. It's got this, of course, the notes of bitter from the cilantro, just a hint in the background. The sweetness from that carrot, mixed with the robustness of the 2 cabbages. And the shrimp is in there, and it's seasoning. Oh, that garlic comes through. The tarragon and that chili flavor, just a hint. Oh man. A little hoisin sauce on there, or peanut sauce. Wow, these things are good. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Don't be afraid, give it a shot. Give me a minute. Oh my goodness. Guys, it's just freaking delicious. The flavors just pop. And they're so fresh and clean and everything's crisp and crunchy. Man, that's pure, clean, healthy eating right there, guys. It's delicious, it's robust, and it's something you can really surprise your friends with. I know it's not exactly what you would normally expect to find on Texas Cooking Today, but I'll tell you what, Texas food isn't all I know. I know how to cook a lot of different things, and I'm going to teach you each and every one of the wonderful recipes that I actually know, and there are thousands of them. So guys, buckle down and get ready, because there's a lot of these shows coming. Please, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. To my subscribers, I'd like to say cheers. Thank you very much for watching today, guys. Thank you. For my new subscribers, click the bell. I'll tell you when new videos come out. Please share my videos. Please give me a thumbs up. I love comments. Drop me a comment and I'm probably going to answer you, okay? So guys, thank you very much. You have a good day, and well, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.